Now, Uganda is a blessed country and there's a lot that we can put in the market. Take, for instance, many who sit in the poultry subspace are actually looking at rearing exotic breeds. Now, there are those that are seeing opportunity in actually giving us local varieties. This farmer in Mukono is doing exactly that, and this is his story.
Paul Kabwama had nothing to make life meaningful for himself, but he had an idea to implement if only he had some financial breakthrough. But this came into reality when Sawa World, an NGO that empowers vulnerable people, set in.
Sawa World is an international NGO that empowers vulnerable youth with easy-to-start, eco-friendly, simple hands-on business skills. Paul, the entrepreneur being featured today, is among the many entrepreneurs we work with to impact communities with business skills. He's a poultry farmer and a coffee grower that uses coffee husks as beddings for his poultry.
I'm a poultry farmer. I also grow coffee and sweet banana, basically. I'm also a trainer with the Sawa World.
Paul was inspired by his parents who used to do poultry farming at a very small scale at home.
I started poultry farming as an enterprise in 2002. What inspired me, during our times when we were still young, our parents used to rear local chicken and it would fetch them some good money. So when I grew up, I also looked at it as a venture which can also get me some money.
He has since grown to a ton of 850 local birds where he benefits more from eggs.
I began rearing local chicken basically for egg purposes because you find a tray, one tray of local eggs sells 20,000. What makes me different from other poultry farmers in my area is that myself, I embrace the poultry value chain. I looked at what I use in rearing poultry. Basically, I use the coffee husks. So when I use the coffee husks as a litter in my poultry farm, after some time, you remove the coffee husks and then take in my garden and get a higher production.
To build his market base, Paul started by targeting his neighbors, but he has since widened, capturing most of the organic markets and cancer patients.
My first market are the village mates, and now like the eggs I sell to the organic markets, like the Chilima market. I sell in the Gaba and the Chibuye. And also there are people who are suffering from cancer, because we know that one of the things that try to fight cancer is the local egg. Poultry farmers in Uganda are facing a challenge of the market. We have our neighbors like Kenya, they used to take our eggs, but currently Kenya is no longer taking our eggs. Many farmers would want to local poultry, but fencing becomes a big challenge. You need to rear these local poultry in the local way. They need to keep around, they feed on the grass, they look for the ants in order to get a quality egg. You need to take caution of looking after your poultry well. You need to consider treating them. You need to devise preventive measures. When they are still young, you must immunize them. Immunize all the immunizable diseases like the Malix, the Newcastle, the foulpox, the fall typhoid. Like for me, once in a week, I use my local herbs. Whenever I give them water, I put the local herbs in the water. You must do that at least on a weekly basis. You must give them some local herbs like the aloe vera. You must control any breeding in a local poultry if you are a local poultry farmer, because if you don't, then you won't be successful. You need to consider the local practices, because the local poultry, they need to keep that local environment, like keeping them outside. They need to sunbathe, because when the local poultry sunbathe, it helps them to boost their immunity. Cleanliness also another aspect to consider. It is easy to feed local poultry because they can feed on anything. After getting some good money from poultry, I managed to fence off 8 acres with the chain link. I've also managed to buy some land.
One of the key lessons that at least many of us have learned is that having money is one thing and making it work for you is another. Today, we're trying to look at how you can turn around those millions or billions into something tangible and sustainable.
Of course, we are very cognizant that most of our MSMEs still face various growth and survival constraints. Some of them include the limited access to finance, but I want to emphasize more the high levels of informality and weak organizational and institutional capacity. It's what, to me, is the biggest challenge. Because even those who have been given free money by government or by their relatives and so on have failed to advance, have failed to survive, have failed to grow. Why? Because informality is in our DNA in this country. We want to do things informally. And actually, if you realize, even in our day-to-day lives, that's how we operate. In restaurants, you find people go there and they don't know what they should eat. They start to look at the other people's plates. All of that is a sign of informality. In the other societies, I've been to those societies, you see people doing everything in a planned way, and that's why they succeed.
With the working from home phenomenon, we've witnessed the increase in the household expenditure, one of them being utilities. In this segment, we look at how you can fully power your house on solar.
Solar can power the whole homestead, but as you know very well, that my homestead, the appliances I have may be different from yours. So solar can work. The way we gauge it can absolutely work on homestead. For example, solar can work on lighting system on the whole homestead, even if they are 50. Even if the TV is 60 inches, but solar, some appliances cannot work on solar systems, like water heaters, because the solar heater, the heating systems, the heating appliances consume a lot of power. Unlike electricity, this normal electricity, umeme, whereby you just connect from the grid, with the solar, you have to first elaborate to us, you have to first detail to us the appliances. How many appliances do you have? We have to check the capacity, their capacity, and then we count the wattage, the system which we are going to install, so that system can run all the things. But for example, if an average homestead of about 20 lighting points, a TV of 32 or 46 inch, water pumping, a booster to the overhead tanker, the telephone lines, and a fridge. That system can cost around 10 millions because of the refrigerator. But someone who is using solar, only solar, should note that because solar, it is power from the sun, and the sun is not available during night. It is available only during what? Daytime. The system which can cost around 10 million to power at least the 3.5 kV watt peak. It should be like 4 pieces of 300 watts a controller MPPT of 50 amps, an inverter of 2.5 kV. The type of the wire used during installation should be different, should be of a high quality. Factories always use high rate motors. It should be a plant to run a factory. A plant is assembled to run a factory because even a solar can be used to run a whole village. Yes, like umeme. But if someone is capable of paying for the plant to run a factory, because some the factories, those machines, they are over 50 horsepower, whereby it should be very many solar panels. It should be a plant. If someone is financially able to install that plant, then solar can run factories. Today, people are seeing the advantages of using solar, especially in saving power, because solar, it is not a grid, but it has a constant power supply, and it is in a category of renewable energy, natural energy. People, because at the start, at its initial installation, the cost is high, but in the long run, the expenditure is low, and power can be used in cooking, oven, refrigerators, and those powerful gadgets. The rate at which solar power is used these days is running. It is at a high rate. It has a constant power supply, power usage. It is constant until when some gadgets gets old, like the batteries. So you cannot make a maintenance in wiring, but you can make a maintenance in a solar panel through cleaning of the solar panels, because the solar modules are installed on the roof. It is outside. Birds always urinate and dust in the solar panels. So there should be regular cleanup of the solar panels, which is cheap. And another thing, some gadgets like batteries, they need some good batteries. They take a 3 to 5 years guarantee. They need to be changed from 3 to 5 years.
Well, that's all we had for you on this week's edition of Money and Markets. Thank you for being part of the show. More so at this time. Very interesting times indeed, because we're talking about the final investment decision in the oil and gas subsector that everyone has been keenly waiting for.
And of course, next week we'll bring you much more insight on how you can be a part of this.
And we'd like to keep the conversation as usual going. So do drop us a line on the address on your screen. I've been your host, Charles Woji.
And I'm Shimim K. Matovu.
Until next time, have a good evening. Bye-bye.